January 1925. Alaska. 10,000 people were dying, most of them children. Their only hope was 150 dogs racing through a frozen nightmare. The temperature had dropped to 65 degrees below zero. Complete darkness swallowed the land. A blizzard raged so fierce it could kill you in minutes. This is the greatest rescue mission you may have ever heard. And it all came down to one moment when a dog named Balto had to choose between following orders and trusting his instinct. Let me take you back to that winter. Nome was a tiny town way up north in Alaska, as far north as you could go in America and still find yourself on the map. 10,000 people lived there. Simple folks, hard-working people. They were far from everything else in the world. In Nome, huskies weren't just pets. They weren't the cute dogs you see in photos today. They were family. They were partners in survival. Every single day, these dogs pulled sleds through the snow. They carried supplies. They connected people across that frozen wilderness. Without the dogs, nobody could survive winter in Alaska. But the winter of 1925 was different from any winter before. Nobody knew it yet, but this winter would test every man, woman, and dog in Alaska. This winter would write a chapter in American history with blood, courage, and love. January 19th, 1925. A child started running a high fever. The child had a terrible cough. The child couldn't swallow. The child was struggling to breathe. Then another child got sick. Then another child fell ill. Dr. Curtis Welch examined the first child. He looked down the little one's throat. His heart nearly stopped beating. He saw a gray membrane covering the throat. He saw swelling everywhere. He smelled that distinctive odor. Dr. Welch had seen this before, and he knew exactly what it meant. Diphtheria. The word struck terror into every parent's heart. This was the disease that killed children faster than fire could burn. This was the disease that choked the life out of little ones while their parents watched helplessly. This disease spread like wildfire through any town it touched. There was only one cure in the entire world. Only one thing could save these children: antitoxin serum. Where was the nearest supply of this life-saving medicine? Anchorage, 674 miles away from Nome. Nearly 700 miles of mountains, ice sheets, darkness, and death waiting at every turn. 10,000 people lived in Nome. Most of them were children. None of them had immunity to this killer disease. If they didn't receive that serum within 6 days, they would all die. Every last person in that town would be gone. The town leaders looked at their options. What about airplanes, the fastest way to travel? The only airplane in the region was grounded. The engine had frozen solid in the brutal Alaskan cold. Nobody had the parts to fix it. Nobody had the expertise to get it running again. What about the railroad? Trains could only travel as far as Nome, which still left them 600 miles short of Nome. That left one option. One insane option that seemed impossible. Dog sleds would have to carry the medicine. But this wasn't going to be any normal dog sled journey. Under normal conditions, this journey took 25 full days to complete. Dr. Welch said they had 6 days at most before the entire town died. 6 days. They had to travel 4 times faster than any dog sled team had ever traveled before. They would have to run through the perpetual night of an Alaskan winter. They would have to push through blizzards that could bury a man in minutes. They would have to survive temperatures that could kill a human being within an hour of exposure. 20 mushers volunteered for this suicide mission. 150 husky dogs would carry the burden. One desperate race against death itself was about to begin. They called it the Great Race of Mercy. But it was more than a race. It was a prayer sent out into the frozen darkness. It was hope given 4 legs and a brave heart. Everything depended on the dogs. January 27th, 1925. The race began. The precious serum reached Nome by train. From that point forward, the dogs took over. 20 teams of dogs and mushers would pass the serum like a sacred torch from one to another. Each team would run until they dropped from exhaustion, then hand off to the next team waiting in the darkness. One man received the assignment everyone feared most. His name was Leonhard Seppala. The stretch of trail assigned to Seppala was known simply as the Devil's Path. He would have to cover 261 miles of pure hell. His route took him straight up through mountain passes. He would cross over the frozen Norton Sound, where one wrong step meant plunging through ice into water so cold it stopped your heart instantly. The mountains rose 1,500 feet above sea level. The temperature held steady at 65 degrees below zero. Winds blew so strong they could flip a loaded sled end over end. Darkness covered the land for 20 hours out of every day. Most men would have refused this assignment. Most men would have said it was suicide. But Seppala wasn't alone. He had Togo. Togo was 12 years old. In dog years, that made him ancient. He was small compared to other huskies. Most people thought he was well past his prime. Many said he was too old for this desperate run. But Seppala knew something those people didn't know. Togo had eyes that could see through the darkness. Togo had a heart that refused to quit. In the pitch-black night, Seppala couldn't see anything at all. He couldn't see the trail beneath the snow. He couldn't see the cliffs that dropped away into nothing. He couldn't see death waiting around every single turn. But Togo saw everything the darkness tried to hide. He led them through every storm that came howling out of the Arctic. He could smell the trail buried under 6 feet of fresh snow. He knew instinctively when ice was about to crack and give way beneath them. 261 miles. Over mountains that had killed strong men. Across frozen sea that could become open water in seconds. Through blizzards that made grown men cry like children. Togo ran in the lead position, never resting, never stopping, never giving up for one single moment. Even when his paws began to bleed, leaving red tracks in the white snow, he kept running. Even when his body shook from exhaustion that would have killed a younger dog, he kept pulling. Even when every step meant pain beyond anything a human could imagine, he refused to stop. He knew somehow, deep in his animal heart, he understood that 10,000 people were waiting for him. 10,000 lives depended on his tired old legs keeping moving. Togo wouldn't let them down. He would die on the trail before he gave up. February 1st, 1925. Seppala completed his impossible run. 261 miles of frozen hell behind him. The precious serum passed from musher to musher, carried by dog team after dog team. Each mile brought them closer to Nome. Each hour brought hope to 10,000 dying people. The serum finally reached Charlie Olson at the village of Bluff. Only 53 miles remained, the final stretch to Nome. This last responsibility fell to a musher named Gunnar Kassin and a dog that nobody believed in. His name was Balto. Maybe you've heard that name before. Maybe you've seen the famous bronze statue standing in Central Park in New York City. But before this night in February 1925, nobody had ever heard of Balto. He was just ordinary. He was slower than the other dogs in the kennel. He wasn't the strongest or the fastest. He had never been chosen to run lead position. He was a backup dog. He was second string. He was the dog you used when you ran out of better options. But on the night of February 1st, Gunnar Kassin decided to trust Balto. That decision saved everyone. The moment they left Bluff and headed for Nome, the storm arrived. This wasn't just another Alaskan storm. This was white hell unleashed on Earth. Snow fell so thick that Kassin couldn't see his own hand when he held it up in front of his face. Wind blew so strong he had to grab onto the sled with both hands to keep from being blown away into the darkness. The temperature dropped even further to 75 degrees below zero. Kassin thought this was the end. He thought they would all die out here in the storm. He couldn't see the trail anymore. He couldn't see Balto running up ahead. He couldn't see anything at all except white death swirling around him. Maybe we should stop here and find shelter, Kassin thought. Maybe we should wait out this storm. Maybe this is where we give up and accept that those 10,000 people are going to die. But Balto didn't stop running. In total darkness, in a storm that killed all hope, Balto ran like he could see every rock and every turn. He didn't need light to find his way. He remembered every twist in the trail. He could feel the path through 10 feet of snow. 20 hours straight, he ran without stopping for rest. 20 hours he pulled that sled through conditions that would have killed any other dog. 20 hours he led that team through white hell until finally they reached the Topcock River. Kassan could barely see the ice ahead of them. He shouted at Balto to cross the river. He needed them to keep moving fast. He even cracked the whip above Balto's head to make him go faster. But Balto stopped dead in his tracks. He stood absolutely still. He wouldn't move forward no matter how loud Kassan shouted. Kassan grew angry. They were running out of time. Children were dying with every minute that passed. He shouted again for Balto to run. But Balto turned his head back and looked at Kassan. In that look, Kassan saw something that stopped his anger cold. Balto's eyes were saying, "Trust me. Please just trust me this one time." Kassan suddenly understood. He looked more carefully at the ice ahead of them. Under that thin layer of snow, he could now see black water. The ice was too thin to support them. If they had crossed where Kassan ordered, everyone would have plunged through into freezing water. They would have all died within minutes. The serum would have been lost forever. 10,000 people would have died because Kassan didn't trust his dog. Balto had just saved them all. The dog everyone called slow and useless had seen death before death could see them. They found another road around the dangerous ice. They crossed the river safely. Then they kept running through the storm. They ran through the darkness. They ran until dawn finally broke across the frozen landscape. February 2nd, 1925, 5:30 in the morning. Gunner Kassan and Balto stumbled into the town of Nome. Balto didn't look like a beautiful show dog anymore. His white fur was frozen into thick sheets of ice. His paws were torn and bleeding from running over sharp ice for 20 hours. His eyes were bloodshot red from exhaustion and the cold wind. But Gunner Kassan still held the serum package safely in his frozen hands. The package was still cold enough to keep the medicine good. The serum could still save lives. It had arrived in time. 10,000 people were saved that day. Not one more person died from diphtheria after the serum arrived. The disease was stopped cold. 150 husky dogs had done the impossible. 20 brave mushers had risked everything. Together they had covered 674 miles through frozen hell. They had made the journey in 127 hours, just over 5 days instead of the normal 25 days. They had beaten death in a race nobody thought they could win. They proved that love, courage, and faith are stronger than any storm nature can create. December 17, 1925. In the heart of Central Park in New York City, a bronze statue was erected and dedicated. The inscription on that statue reads, "Dedicated to the indomitable spirit of the sled dogs that relayed antitoxins 600 miles over rough ice, across treacherous waters, through Arctic blizzards from Nenana to the relief of stricken Nome in the winter of 1925. Balto died in 1933 at the age of 14. His body was preserved and placed in the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, where people can still see him today. They can look at a real hero, they can touch history, they can remember what courage looks like. Togo, who ran the longest and hardest stretch of the entire race, passed away in 1929 at 16 years old. He had run 261 miles through the worst conditions imaginable. He had pulled his sled over mountains and across frozen seas. He had given everything he had to save people he would never meet. Every year since 1973, the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race runs from Anchorage to Nome to honor those 150 heroes who saved 10,000 lives. The race makes sure we never forget what happened in that terrible winter of 1925. The race reminds us what dogs are truly capable of when we trust them completely. When I first really heard this story, I was already in my 50s. Maybe you're around that age too. We live in a world that tells us our best years are behind us. Once you hit a certain age, society says you're past your prime. You're not the lead dog anymore. You're backup. But Togo was 12 years old when he ran those 261 miles. In dog years, that made him ancient. Everyone said he was too old, too small, too worn out. Togo proved them all wrong. He ran further than any other dog. He ran through the worst conditions. He saved thousands of lives because one man believed in him. Balto was the dog nobody wanted. Not fast enough, not strong enough, not good enough. He was the dog you settled for when you couldn't get better. Yet Balto led his team through a blizzard that would have killed anyone else. He refused to give up. He trusted his instincts when his musher couldn't see. Here's what those 150 dogs teach us. It's not about being the fastest or youngest. It's about showing up when you're needed. It's about refusing to give up even when everything looks hopeless. Those mushers could have refused this suicide mission. Those dogs could have quit during that nightmare journey, but they didn't. They ran because they loved their mushers. They ran because they trusted the humans who cared for them. When Togo's paws were bleeding, he kept running. When Balto couldn't see through the blizzard, he kept going. They ran for love, pure, unconditional love between humans and dogs. Right now, across America, thousands of dogs wait in shelters. Dogs that people call too old, too slow, not cute enough. These dogs get passed over every single day. But somewhere in those shelters is the next Balto, the next Togo, a dog that just needs one person to believe in them. This story is about all of us, every person over 50, every person told they're past their best years, every person passed over for someone younger. Your race isn't over. Your greatest contribution might still be ahead. The world needs your wisdom, your experience, your courage, just like Nome needed Togo and Balto. On February 2nd, 1925, when Balto limped into Nome carrying that precious serum, the whole town poured into the streets. They surrounded him. They touched him. They cried over him. Balto just lay down quietly in the snow. He didn't understand fame. He didn't care about statues or glory. He had done his job. He had kept his promise. Now he could rest. That's the heart of this story. It's not about being the hero everyone celebrates. It's not about statues or headlines. It's about doing what needs to be done even when it's hard, even when you're exhausted, even when everyone doubts you, especially when everyone doubts you. 150 dogs saved 10,000 people in 1925. Not because they were the fastest or strongest. They saved those lives because they refused to give up, because they trusted completely, because they loved with everything they had, because when the darkest night came, they chose to keep running. The next time you see a husky or any dog someone says is too old or not good enough, remember Balto, remember Togo. Remember that courage isn't about size or speed or youth. Courage is about heart, about love, about refusing to quit. That dog everyone keeps passing by in the shelter might be the one who changes everything, might be the hero this world needs. All they need is someone willing to believe in them, just like Kasin believed in Balto, just like Sapala believed in Togo. Be that person, trust the underdog, watch them change the world,